Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we are opening a file that feels like it's made of concrete and old blood. We are stripping down the first half of the child's debut novel, Killing Floor. And if you're thinking, oh, I saw the TV show or I saw the movie, just put that aside for a bit. We are going back to the source code.
It really is the source code, isn't it? This is 1997. This is the moment the world met Jack Reacher. And what's so fascinating is that before he was, a franchise, before he was a brand, he was just a guy in a diner who wanted some eggs.
That is the image, isn't it? It's almost become like American mythology. The stranger rolls into town, orders a coffee, and then trouble just finds him. It's a classic Western setup. A child drops it right into modern Georgia.
Oh, it is high noon. It's Yojimbo. But the execution, and this is what we're going to really unpack today, is surprisingly cerebral. We think of Reacher as this big action hero, and he is.
Of course.
But Killing Floor, at its heart, is a procedural mystery. It's all about logic, deduction, and the mechanics of violence.
So let's set the stage. It is 12 o'clock, noon. We are in Eno's diner. It's raining outside, that heavy, humid southern rain.
And inside, it's quiet. Or, it should be. Reacher is sitting in a booth. He's wet, he's tired, and he's ordered eggs and black coffee.
Simple.
Just reading a newspaper someone left behind. It's the absolute definition of minding your own business.
And then the peace is just shattered. The doors burst open. And we aren't talking about a polite, "Excuse me, sir, can we have a word?"
No. This is a raid. It's an invasion. You hear the police cruisers scream into the gravel lot. And the officers who storm the diner, they are not carrying ticket books.
Heavy weaponry.
Extremely heavy. You have two officers rushing the door. One has a .38 special revolver. The other has an Ithaca 37 pump-action shotgun.
Which, it feels like complete overkill for a guy eating scrambled eggs.
It's a massive, massive display of force. But this is our first critical data point on Jack Reacher's character. Most people, if a SWAT team kicks down the door while they're eating lunch, they panic.
You'd flip the table, you'd dive for cover.
Or you just freeze in sheer terror.
Yeah, Reacher doesn't move.
He doesn't even flinch. He just watches. And this is key. He isn't scared. He is assessing. He enters this state of hyper-observation.
Right.
He looks at the officer with the revolver, nervous, shaking a bit. That's a danger, sure. But then he looks at the Ithaca.
The shotgun.
Right. And Reacher knows ballistics. He knows that at close range, inside a small diner, a pump-action shotgun is basically a room sweeper.
You don't have to be accurate.
No, you just have to pull the trigger and everything in front of you turns to mist. But he also, in that split second, calculates the geometry of the room.
He's doing math while they're screaming at him.
He's doing tactical geometry. It's incredible. He realizes that if the revolver fires and misses, the bullet goes into the kitchen. Maybe it hits the cook.
Okay.
If the shotgun fires, it shreds the booth in the window. He's mapping out the cones of fire in his head.
And he's actually critiquing them, isn't he? He's thinking something like, okay, they spread out. That's good. They're creating a crossfire vector.
Exactly. He's grading their performance. Textbook moves, he thinks. It establishes immediately that this guy knows more about violence than the people holding the guns.
And he knows he's trapped.
Completely trapped. There is no exit that doesn't involve getting shot. So he decides to surrender.
But he does it in the most Reacher way possible, the most specific way.
He does. He slowly slides out of the booth, but before he raises his hands, he takes one last bite of his eggs, swallows his coffee, and slides a $5 bill under the plate.
The tip. Why is the tip so important? Is it just arrogance?
I think it's control. It's a psychological anchor. By leaving the tip, he is saying, I am not a criminal you just caught. I am a customer finishing his transaction. He refuses to let their chaos disrupt his personal code of conduct. It's a way of maintaining his own dignity right before he's about to be handcuffed.
So they haul him out, they throw him in the cruiser, and we get to the core of the mystery setup. Why on earth is he being arrested?
Murder. And not just any murder. A really brutal execution that happened the night before. And Reacher is the perfect suspect because for all intents and purposes, he doesn't exist.
This is the whole drifter element. In 1997, it was hard to be off the grid. Today, it's basically impossible. But Reacher has mastered it.
He's a ghost. No driver's license, no credit cards,
Nothing.
No address, no utility bills. He pays cash for everything. He travels by bus. To a modern police force, a man with no data is, well, he's terrifying. No address translates to vagrant, and vagrant all too often translates to criminal.
And his alibi, or I guess his reason for being in town, is so flimsy, it just sounds like a lie.
It really does. Captain Finlay asks him, why did you get off the bus here in Margrave, Georgia, of all places? And Reacher just says, I want to see where Blind Blake died.
The blues singer.
Right. And it's a deep cut. Blind Blake was a real musician, a legend of the ragtime blues guitar. Reacher remembers his brother, and we'll get to him later, obviously, mentioning years ago that Blake might have been killed or buried in Margrave. So, on a total whim, seeing the sign on the highway, Reacher just pulls the cord and gets off the bus.
It's the chaos theory of the book. It really is.
Precisely. It's the butterfly effect. If Reacher isn't a music fan, or if he's, asleep when the bus passes the exit, he just goes on to Atlanta. He never stops.
And the conspiracy in Margrave continues forever.
Exactly. But because of that one random impulse, the entire house of cards is about to fall.
Okay, so let's meet the opposition. Reacher is taken to the police station. And immediately, the vibe is just off.
It's so uncanny. Reacher notes the environment constantly. The police station doesn't look like a small-town precinct. It looks like a corporate insurance office.
Right.
Everything is new. The carpet is plush. The air conditioning is silent. It smells like money.
Which is clue number one. A town this small shouldn't have a budget this big.
Exactly. And then we meet Captain Finlay. Now, Finlay is a fascinating foil for Reacher. He's the chief of detective.
Describe him for us.
Okay, so he's a tall black man. But what stands out to Reacher, what he zeroes in on, is the wardrobe. We are in Georgia. It is summer. It is 90 degrees and humid. And Finlay is wearing a heavy tweed suit and a moleskin vest.
He's dressed for a Harvard library in, November.
He looks absolutely ridiculous for the climate. And Reacher uses this. This is one of my favorite scenes because it's pure Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
Reacher decides he needs to rattle Finlay. He wants to take control of the interrogation, so he just looks at him and says, you're a Harvard graduate, you're divorced, and you quit smoking in April.
Okay, let's unpack that. How in the world does he get Harvard and divorced from a suit?
It's deduction based on artifacts and behavior. So the vocabulary and the stiff academic demeanor suggests the Ivy League. The tweed suit suggests he's clinging to a northern intellectual identity he's lost. But the divorce, that's about the lack of caretaking.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Reacher's logic is that if Finlay had a wife living with him, she would have said, honey, you look like an idiot. It's 90 degrees outside. Put on a light shirt.
Laughing.
The fact that he's wearing the completely wrong clothes suggests he has no one at home to ground him in the reality of his new life. He's alone.
And the smoking, the April thing.
Finlay keeps patting his pockets. It's a nervous suctic, like a phantom limb syndrome. He's reaching for a pack of cigarettes that isn't there anymore.
Oh.
Reacher just spots the pattern and deduces the timeline. It's brilliant.
It is brilliant because it completely changes the dynamic in the room. Finlay stops looking at him like a vagrant and starts looking at him like an equal.
Exactly. Mutual respect forms almost instantly. Finlay is ex-Boston PD. Reacher is ex-military police. They are both professionals in a room full of amateurs.
Speaking of amateurs, we have to talk about Chief Morrison.
Ugh. Morrison. If Finlay is the competent professional, Morrison is just a walking disaster.
He's the chief of police, but he's described as, well, he's gross.
Fat, sweaty, wheezing. He's physically repulsive to Reacher, who values fitness and discipline above all else. But worse than that, he's corrupt. Or at the very least, deeply incompetent. And Morrison drops the bombshell that locks Reacher up. He claims he saw Reacher leaving the scene of the crime.
Which is a complete lie.
It is a flat-out lie. Reacher knows he wasn't there. But Morrison is the chief. His testimony overrides everything. It changes Reacher from a person of interest to prime suspect.
There's one bright spot in the department, though. Officer Roscoe.
The good cop. But she's more than that. She represents a kind of baseline humanity. Everyone else treats Reacher like a problem or a threat. Roscoe treats him like a man.
She brings him coffee.
Brings him coffee. She looks him in the eye. She doesn't treat him like scum.
And she notices his eyes.
Nice eyes, she says. It's just this little spark. But she's also a good cop. She handles the fingerprinting efficiently. She's the one who eventually runs the alibi checks. She's not just the love interest. She's a capable investigator stuck in a very bad system.
So let's get to the body. Because Finlay takes Reacher through the crime scene details, and Reacher performs another one of these acts of mental gymnastics, the three perpetrators theory.
This is where we see his experience as a military policeman really shine. Finlay describes the body found near the warehouse. Unidentified white male, tall, shot twice in the head with a .22 caliber pistol.
No, .22 isn't a cannon, it's a pretty small round.
It is. But in the hands of a professional, it's incredibly deadly. It's quiet. And at close range, a .22 bullet often enters the skull and doesn't exit. It bounces around inside, turning the brain into soup.
Wow.
It's a favored tool for professional hits because it's clean and relatively silent.
So we have a professional execution, but then the description gets weird.
Right. After the man was dead, long dead, someone went completely berserk on the body, kicked it to pieces, crushed the ribs, destroyed the face. Just a frenzy of pure violence.
And then on top of all that, someone tried to cover it up with cardboard.
Yes. A clumsy, panicked attempt to hide the body. So Reacher looks at these three distinct elements: the clean shot, the messy beating, and the clumsy hiding. And he tells Finley, you're not looking for one person, you're looking for three.
Walk us through the logic there.
It's psychological profiling. Reacher argues that the personality type who uses a silenced .22 and collects his shell casings, the shooter, is cold, calculated, and professional. That person does not then lose their temper and stomp on a corpse. That's a total contradiction.
So the stomper has to be a different guy.
The maniac, Reacher calls him, someone filled with rage or hate. But even the maniac wouldn't bother to cover the body with cardboard. The maniac wants the damage scene. The concealer is a third person, someone weak, terrified, trying to undo the horror they just witnessed.
3 men. Shooter, maniac, concealer.
And Reacher points at the obvious. I'm one guy. Why would I be all three?
It's a great defense. I mean, why would a pro killer wait around in the rain for hours? Why would a maniac walk calmly into town for eggs? It just doesn't fit.
But logic only gets you so far when physical evidence appears. They find a little piece of paper in the dead man's shoe.
The clue. Pluribus.
The word pluribus and a phone number.
Finley traces the number. And this is where the story pivots. It stops being about a random drifter and starts being about the town's elite. The number belongs to a Paul Hubble.
Paul Hubble.
Yeah.
And he lives on Beckman Drive, which is basically the Beverly Hills of Margrave.
So we go from a greasy spoon diner to the police station to a mansion.
Finley and Reacher, they kind of trick Hubble into revealing his address. When they bring him in, Hubble is, well, he's a wreck. He's a banker. He drives a Bentley, wears a Rolex. He's the quintessential yuppie, but he has absolutely zero grit.
He crumbles immediately.
Instantly. Finley puts him in the interrogation room, mentions the dead man, mentions the word pluribus, and Hubble just vomits into the wastebasket.
Oh, wow.
He's shaking, he's sweating, and he confesses.
He says, I did it. I killed him.
Which makes no sense to Reacher. Reacher is watching this through the one-way glass. He sees a man who is terrified of his own shadow. Hubble could not be the cold-blooded shooter. He's certainly not the maniac. And here is the clincher: Hubble has an alibi.
The real one.
Ironclad. He was at a dinner party until 2:00 a.m. A police officer, Officer Stevenson, actually drove him home. He physically could not have been at the warehouse at midnight when the murder happened.
So we have a man confessing to a murder he didn't commit? When he can prove he wasn't there. Why?
Right.
Why would you do that?
That is the question that defines the entire first half of the book. Why confess? And the answer, Reacher realizes, is fear. Hubble isn't afraid of the police. He's afraid of the 10.
The conspiracy.
Hubble has done the math in his head and calculated that prison is safer than his house. He thinks that if he is in police custody, behind bars, the people threatening his family can't get to him. He is confessing to buy sanctuary.
It's a desperate, illogical move born of pure panic.
And it backfires spectacularly. Because Chief Morrison, our sweaty, corrupt villain, sees an opportunity. He says, okay, Hubble confessed, and I saw Reacher at the scene, so they must be working together.
He links them.
He spins this whole story that Hubble hired Reacher to do the hit. And because of that, he orders them both shipped out of the nice, clean police station and sent to the county lockup, Warburton Correctional Facility.
And this is where things get real. Section 3, the prison weekend.
This is the crucible. Up until now, it's been a detective story. Now, it is a survival horror. They were put on a bus. Hubble is practically catatonic. He's just paralyzed with fear. Reacher, he's just angry.
And alert.
Always alert. They arrive at Warburton, and immediately there is a mistake.
The intake.
Right. They're supposed to be processed for the holding floor, floor 6. That's for unconvicted men waiting for bail or trial. It's relatively safe. You know, you keep your head down, you're probably fine.
Sure.
But the intake guard is this man named Spivey.
Spivey. He's a small character, but so important. He's the guy with the clipboard and the donut.
He seems lazy, casual. He tells them, we're short-staffed. Just go where I tell you. But he doesn't send them to floor 6. He sends them to floor 3.
And they don't realize how bad that is until they get there, do they?
Not until they see the visual cue. They walk onto the floor, and everyone else is in prison blues uniforms.
Right.
Reacher is in his coat and shirt. Hubble is in his nice chinos and polo. They're wearing street clothes.
And an old inmate, a cleaner, pushing a mop, he just starts laughing at them.
That's such a chilling moment. The cleaner says, I ain't never seen street clothes on this floor. And that's when the penny drops.
Floor 3 is for lifers, hardened convicts, general population. Reacher and Hubble are fresh meat in a shark tank.
And the shark starts circling immediately.
Enter the Red Boys, or the Red Bandanas, whatever you want to call them.
A prison gang.
A cell block clique. Huge guys. Bodybuilders pumping iron in the corner. They see Hubble, this soft, terrified banker, and they just see prey. They surround them in the cell.
And they start with the humiliation tactics.
Oh, yeah, it's classic dominance behavior. They demand Hubble's sweater, then they demand his shoes, then they demand his glasses.
They smash the glasses, right? They just stomp on them. It's a way of removing his sight, making him even more helpless. Then they tell him to get on his knees. It's escalating towards sexual assault. Hubble is sobbing. He's doing everything they say.
But Reacher is just watching.
Reacher's calibrating. He knows he can't talk his way out of this. He knows that in prison, weakness is a death sentence. You have to be the scariest thing in the room.
So he steps in.
He gives the leader, this massive guy, a choice, a simple one. He says, walk out or be carried out.
And the guy obviously laughs in his face.
And that's his last mistake. Reacher's philosophy of violence is simple. Strike first, strike hard, and cheat. He doesn't square up for a boxing match. He headbutts the guy.
Ouch.
But let's look at the mechanics, because Child describes it so perfectly. Reacher doesn't just bump foreheads. That hurts you as much as him. Reacher grabs the guy's ears to anchor the head. Then he drives the upper part of his forehead, the hairline, which is thick bone, straight into the T-zone of the guy's face.
The nose and eyes.
Exactly. It's bone against cartilage and thin sinus walls. It shatters the guy's face. One blow. The guy drops like a sack of cement, just choking on blood. It's devastating.
And the rest of the gang.
They freeze. They just watch their leader get dismantled in 1 second. And then Reacher does the thing that I think defines him. He picks up the guy's sunglasses.
The trophy.
It's pure psychological warfare. He puts on the sunglasses, he stares at the rest of them and says, who's next? He isn't just winning the fight, he's owning the space. He establishes himself as the alpha.
It saves Hubble.
For the moment, Reacher becomes Hubble's protector. And in the quiet of the cell, after the adrenaline finally fades, Hubble finally talks.
He explains why he confessed.
He tells Reacher about the currency conspiracy. He says he manages money for clients. But he's caught in something huge. He calls it the 10. He says it involved the treasury, the government, everything. The biggest thing you ever heard of.
And the threats. Were they real?
Oh, they were explicit. They told him exactly what they would do to his wife, Charlie, and his daughters. They threatened to use a tire iron. It's incredibly graphic. That's why Hubble is so broken. He's carrying the weight of his family's safety.
Reacher gives him advice, though. He says something like, stick to the story, do the time. If you're in here, you're safe.
Which is so ironic because they are not safe at all. Spivey, the guard, wasn't just lazy. It was a setup. Putting them on floor 3 was a deliberate assassination attempt.
Sunday morning, the bathroom brawl.
This is the second attempt. They go to the communal showers, and the Aryan Brotherhood walks in. 5 guys, swastika tattoos. And they aren't there to bully. They are there to kill.
They lock the door.
They block the exit. Reacher realizes Spivey sent them. This is a contract hit. And the fight that follows. It's not the clean, one-shot headbutt from before. It's a brawl.
It's ugly.
It's desperate. Reacher uses the environment. He uses the wet floor to make them slip. He uses a bar of soap. He's breaking fingers. He's gouging eyes. He's kicking knees backward. He fights with zero inhibition because he knows if he stops moving for a second, he dies.
It sounds just exhausting to read.
It is. He manages to disable the leaders, but the noise of the fight sparks a riot. The whole cell block just erupts, and that's what saves them.
Spivey has to intervene.
Spivey realizes his neat little hit has turned into a full-blown riot. If Reacher dies in a riot, there's an investigation, the warden gets involved. Spivey needs it to look like an accident, not a war.
Wow.
So he pulls them out. He rushes them upstairs to floor 6, the correct floor, and pretends they were there the whole time.
Covering his tracks.
Exactly. So they survive the weekend. Battered, bruised, but alive. Monday morning comes around.
And suddenly, the doors open. Freedom.
The system finally catches up to the truth. Finley and Roscoe have been working all weekend. They confirmed Reacher's alibi.
The bus driver.
They track down the Greyhound driver. He remembers Reacher getting off at the Cloverleaf. The timestamp on the bus log proves Reacher was on the highway when the murder happened. He is physically cleared.
The scene where they walk out of the prison. I mean, it feels like taking a deep breath after being underwater for days.
It's the contrast, isn't it? They walk out of this dark, violent, urine-smelling concrete box into the bright, hot Georgia sun.
Hubble's wife, Charlie, is there.
In the Bentley, of course. She picks up Hubble, and you see the family dynamic. She's trying so hard to hold it together. He's just a wreck. Reacher watches them leave. And then he sees Roscoe.
She's waiting for him.
And she's out of uniform. Jeans, a cotton shirt. It's a very human moment. Yeah. Reacher realizes she worked all weekend to get him out. She believed him when no one else did.
They go for lunch. Reacher is free. He has his $5 back. He could just leave.
He should leave. Any sane person would get on the next bus and put as much distance as possible between themselves and Margrave, Georgia.
But he doesn't. Why?
Well, two reasons, really. First, simple curiosity. He's stubborn. He still wants to know about Blind Blake, so he goes to the local barbershop.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
The barbershop feels like a time capsule.
It adds so much texture to the town. It's an old-school black barbershop. The conversation just stops when he walks in. But he wins them over. He asks about the musician. And the old barbers confirm it. Blind Blake was there years ago.
But they also tell him about the town itself.
They drop their real knowledge. They tell him about the Kleiner family, the people who own the warehouse, the people who seem to own the town. The barbers are terrified of them.
Yeah.
And Reacher sees Mrs. Kleiner later in a convenience store, and she looks like a ghost. She's petrified. It just confirms that the rot in this town goes all the way to the top.
And the second reason he stays.
Finley asks him to, just for a few hours, to sign the release forms and formalize the alibi. But then the other shoe drops.
We are in section 5 now. The twist.
The twist that changes the genre of the book completely. Roscoe picks Reacher up from the barbershop and tells him, "We found a second body."
The man who ran away.
Remember the concealer? The scared guy who tried to hide the first body? They find him under a highway ramp, jet in the back. And because it's been a few days in the Georgia heat, the animals have gotten to him. It's gruesome. But he has a watch inscribed, "To Sherman, love Judy."
So they have an ID on the second victim. But what about the first victim, the tall man in the warehouse? He's still a John Doe.
Right. So Finley takes Reacher to the morgue, and this is a heavy scene. It's very clinical. The medical examiner is there. They're discussing ballistics, confirming both men were killed by the same .22 pistol.
But then the fax machine starts beeping.
It's the report from the FBI. Finley sent the first victim's fingerprints to Washington. The match just came back.
Finley reads the report out loud. And he's confused by it, isn't he?
He is. He reads the medical history to confirm the ID. He says, subject has a healed fracture in the right humerus, set in a German military hospital, tonsils removed in Seoul, Korea, extensive dental work, European style.
And Reacher hears this, and he just freezes.
He knows that file. That is a military brat's medical history, moving from base to base. Germany, Korea.
He says he broke his arm when he was 8.
It's Joe Reacher. His brother.
That moment. Reacher describes it as Arctic ice heaving.
It's the moment the entire world just shifts under his feet. I mean, think about the probability. Reacher and his brother haven't seen each other in 7 years. They don't write. They don't call. And yet they both end up in Margrave, Georgia on the same weekend.
Seems impossible. Is it just a coincidence?
Reacher struggles with that. He asks, was it fate? But Finley confirms it. Joe was there on business. He was investigating something. Reacher was there on a whim. It is a staggering 1 in a billion coincidence, but it's the catalyst for everything that follows.
And the Reacher has to formally identify the body.
And it's brutal. The face is destroyed. But Reacher finds a scar. A star-shaped scar on the arm from a childhood fight with a broken bottle. It's definitely Joe.
Let's talk about the relationship for a second, because it's not the typical we were best buddies story.
Oh, no, not at all. It's complex. Reacher explains it to Finley. They were 2 years apart. They fought constantly. They irritated each other. Joe was the smart one, the tall one, the successful one.
Joe was the government man.
Military intelligence, then the Treasury Department. He was the establishment. Reacher was the rough instrument. But they had the loyalty thing. You watch out for your unit. You watch out for your brother. That bond overrides everything.
So how does this change the mission?
It turns off the law-abiding citizen switch and turns on the avenging angel switch. Before this moment, Reacher was just trying to clear his name. Now, he wants blood.
Finley sees it. He tries to warn him off.
Finley says, let me deal with this. No independent action. He knows Reacher is dangerous. He can see it in his eyes.
And Reacher agrees.
Verbally, he says sure, but internally, the tiny voice in his head is screaming. The sleeping giant is awake. He isn't going to wait for warrants. He isn't going to wait for due process. He is going to burn the town down to find the person who pulled that trigger.
So what is his first move?
He goes back to the source. He goes back to Hubble.
Because Hubble is the link.
Hubble brought Joe to town. Joe was investigating the counterfeiting ring. Hubble knows why Joe is dead.
Reacher and Roscoe drive out to Hubble's house. And again, the contrast. We just came from the morgue, from the smell of death and chemicals. Now we are back on Beckman Drive.
It's a palace, velvet lawns, swimming pool, expensive cars. It looks perfect on the surface.
They meet Charlie, Hubble's wife.
And she's holding it together, but barely. She thanks Reacher for saving Paul's life in the prison. She treats him like an honored guest.
And the scene ends with Reacher just sitting in a cane chair in the garden room.
It's such a calm, beautiful image. He's drinking iced tea. He's listening to the insects buzzing in the garden. But the tension is unbearable. He is coiled like a spring. He is waiting for Hubble to come home so he can ask him, politely, or maybe not so politely, why his brother is lying on a slab in the morgue.
It is an absolute masterclass in raising the stakes.
Think about the progression. We started with a guy who just wanted a cup of coffee. We went through a false arrest, a conspiracy charge, a prison riot, and an assassination attempt. And now we've landed on a blood feud.
So, looking at this first half of the book,
Mm-hmm.
what are the key takeaways for you? What are we really seeing here?
First, I think we have to appreciate the competence porn of it all. People love Reacher not just because he's strong, but because he's smart.
The deduction scenes.
Right. In a world where the police are corrupt or lazy and the criminals are sloppy, Reacher is precise. He notices the tweed suit. He notices the geometry of the diner. He understands the physics of a headbutt. It's just so satisfying to watch someone who is better at their job than everyone else.
And the theme of the outsider is huge.
Oh, Margrave is a closed system. It's a bubble. It's wealthy, it's clean, and it's completely rotten to the core. Reacher is the external force. He has no mortgage, no family, no boss. He cannot be leveraged.
Hubble can be leveraged because he has a wife and kids. That's his weakness.
Exactly. The bad guys control the town because everyone in the town has something to lose. Reacher has nothing to lose, and that makes him unstoppable.
And the villains made one critical, fatal error.
They killed the wrong drifter. If they had killed anyone else, Reacher would have signed his release papers, got his $5 back, and taken the next bus to Atlanta. End of story.
But they killed his brother.
And because of that coincidence, or fate, whatever you want to call it, the entire Kleiner operation is doomed. They woke up the one person on Earth capable of destroying them.
So here is the final thought to chew on. We know Reacher's going to fight. We know he's going to win. This is a thriller after all. But the question is, what is the cost?
That's the real question, isn't it? When a force like Reacher collides with a delicate, corrupt ecosystem like Margrave, there is going to be collateral damage. The question isn't, will he solve the crime? The question is, what will be left of the town when he's done?
Tear it apart brick by brick.
That's the promise. And in the second half of the book, he absolutely delivers on it.
Well, I, for one, can't wait to see how he does it. That wraps up our deep dive into the first half of Killing Floor. Join us next time as we watch the fireworks start.
I'll bring the popcorn.
Thanks for listening.